Welcome back to Global TV Talk Show. Today is all about Gary SAENGER. He is retained executive search in the plus 100,000 category. Let's welcome Gary again. Thank you for being there.
Ed, thank you. Always a pleasure. I appreciate your smiling face. And
Thank you.
I'm going on vacation to Alaska, and you have a Hawaiian shirt on here, so we can compare the temperature difference.
Well, I'll tell you, it's the experience that counts and the customer experience, and we'll get into that in regards to your business. But there's nothing more healthy than for me to be in Maui. But maybe the other islands
that
too.
Almost rhymes. That almost rhymes.
And particularly, in the condo that we've had is in the Kahala coast area, which is just 10 miles from Kaanapali Beach. But I used to go down, a beautiful pool we have right on the water, but used to go into the ocean and just take a floater and get out there and hope there's no sharks in the water, but go in up to my here, and the water would be like 80, 85 degrees, and just sit. And I could feel the salt water soothing all my itches and cuts and whatever.
So Dr. Cohen,
that was terrific. That was terrific. So I understand you're going fishing.
I am.
And
we're going
Alaska.
Catching. Anybody can go fishing. We're going catching, and we're up in Alaska. I've done this many times. Good friend of mine and his wife have a beautiful home there on the Kenai above Soldotna. So our targets are salmon and halibut. So we're going to go off and have a hell of a good time. Now
that's great. So the only salmon that I've been eating is out of Costco. They have them packaged and they're already filleted. So, but it's terrific how we cook it.
I am accepting the bribe that I'll give you something better than that. That will be in your hands in about 3 weeks.
Oh my God, we're gonna have to meet in person.
Well, maybe.
How long have we known each other? We haven't met in person yet. God,
I know, seriously, it's been a half a dozen years for sure.
So Gary SAENGER, you are the owner of your own business, SAENGER and Associates. It's been around a long time. You come from an executive background in big pharma and banking and something else, but I can't remember right now. But right now, we want to talk about what's going on in this marketplace. It's on fire still. Today is July 12, I think, right?
Yep.
And
all day.
So we're looking at a recession, they say, but you never know it from the companies that are still recruiting. And as you see it, as I understand it, there's a current big imbalance of supply, small, and demand, huge, for senior management who knows what to do in the Great Resignation. Is that correct?
Well, I think some of that might be marketing. The Great Resignation, I haven't seen it. I observed some of it, but in my world with senior managers and execs, I just find that, on one instance, our final candidates are getting multiple offers, just like before COVID, as we know it today. And so getting 3, 4, 5, 6 other offers for our final candidate is starting to be more of the routine than what we have experienced the last couple of years, but that's happening now. I see that there's a small supply of really good senior management and executive folks, and there's a big demand. Frankly, being here in Southern California, the analogy is pretty direct. If you're out there looking for a home and you're looking in the residential world, there's a small supply, the prices are going up. The new additive is the mortgage rates are going crazy in terms of low 3s now into the 6s. But yeah, it's a war. And to get your talent and to get your folks hired and get them on board, you better not be pompous about it. And you better not think that you've got the only game in town, because this is very contentious out there.
So there's an opportunity developing. You just touched on it. Because of price fluctuations and the mortgage rates going up, there's a lot of people who are looking to buy. They're no longer qualified because the rates are going up, and the banks are getting real picky now. So the people at the senior levels, the levels that you're dealing with here, uh, they're in such demand that the companies, if they really want these people, they're going to step up and help them buy that house. Now, of course, that's golden handcuffs too, isn't it?
Well, it's some of that. Frankly, the specific help with buying a house doesn't happen very much anymore that I see. But, I mean, we are hand holding our final candidates so that we're going to help them get mortgage qualified. We're going to provide a couple firms that can do that for them and with them. We also are going to provide somebody that is super knowledgeable about that area where they're trying to move to, and give them some very professional help to find their home. And that's a complex situation. I mean, you think about
Right.
you, the homeowner, you're likely to be married, you're likely to have kids, you're likely to have grandparents, you're likely to be very interested in childcare. You're likely to be interested in what the affordability is, and certainly housing prices, as you and I would know it in Southern California, are crazy. That inflated value just makes it really difficult for somebody from the Midwest or Southeast to move here. So we're holding their hands. We are really becoming a very close partner to them to make that happen, just on the real estate side of it. And then, of course, you want safe neighborhoods. So that probably eliminates half of the suburbs if you just looked at Los Angeles in general. It's an interesting puzzle, Mr. Cohen. It's really something that you don't just sit back 50,000 feet, meet somebody, say hello, and here's your job offer and expect them to show up in 2 weeks.
Right. This is where the rubber meets the road here in California. Well, anywhere, I guess, but particularly in California, because it is costly to live here. And yet there's so many people that are selling out and moving to Pittsburgh or Nashville, and they're able to buy, so far anyway, they're able to buy a home in those outlying places,
Yes.
and almost for cash, and still have money left over. So you can't blame them for wanting to leave California, but it's increasing the demand for those who are still here, like me and you, and a few million others. So, we're not leaving other than to maybe go to Maui, but or Alaska. But
I think that's one of the states of the 50 states I have not been to. So I may have to change that sometime. Some of the other trends, I think people are less likely to put up with that lack of balance of their life and their job. I hear that all the time, that, they just want their life back. Their kids are at an age where they don't want to miss it. They want to be a part of it. That bad boss syndrome. I mean, the bad boss alert. If you're a bad boss, you're doing a great job on driving some of your key people away. And those are the people that talk with me and say, look, let me give my door. By the way, I'm happy to talk with you, making sure this is confidential. And of course it is. But I would talk to you because, well, maybe I don't think I'm being kept current with my compensation. Maybe my career path doesn't have a lot of opportunity for me in front of me. But the one they get most verbal about is, say, look, my boss, he is just a jerk. I'm just tired of this. I don't have to deal with that anymore. And, I'm going to go take a look. Let me talk with you and see what you got.
yeah, right. There's an accomplished person, and mature, and a problem solver, and yet you got to deal with this jerk personality, and I don't want that in my life.
Yeah, I hear you. And almost equal to that would be, look, my boss is great, but he's 40s or 50s and not going anywhere soon. And so I want something for me that's more challenging. I want something for me that gets me to another level. So
Faster.
both sides of it, in essence, could drive you out. And, that's where, in fact, the free market out there is something that we play in. We're retained, we're confidential with that client. And at the end of the day, I care as much about my client as I do about my funnel candidates to make sure it's a good fit, make sure it's a great opportunity.
So you have two customers.
I do. And I'm that middle guy. We're that middle team that helps make it work for both of them. And at the end of the day, I don't want a surprise. I don't want a surprise that causes that final candidate that takes the job to leave. I've got a year guarantee on my work. I don't want to do it again. You, the candidate that's taking the job and makes the move and gets relocated, you don't want to have this fail. And for sure, the company, look at the millions of dollars of lost opportunity they have when that senior manager or that executive, when they don't work out. So yes, two customers, and they're both very equal, quite frankly, in terms of how we try to represent them.
So you're a hand holder, you're a psychologist, but human factors is what we're dealing with here, right? Of dealing with people. You being always learning how to use emotional intelligence, you using emotional intelligence, IQ, of course, cultural intelligence, because you're dealing with different people, and you have to hold these hands and get people to realize some tough situations that they're going to have to think through.
Yeah, I think regardless of the letters, IQ, EQ, any of these other psychological aspects of it, look, the culture you have today might not be ideal because, and you then would be open for that culture of another company, that would make it better for you. You could be in an environment where that balance of life is much better. I mean, consciously, we get some of the very big employers out there where the person has told me, look, I have not had a life these last 3 or 4 years, but I have made double the amount of money I expected. I've got another year before my vesting's done, and then I'm going to move on and get back to my real life and real balance on the whole situation. So that culture piece, how does that boss, how does that new company, how do they work in the community? How do they work with their nonprofits? Do they expect that person would be active and represent the company? The good ones do. The good ones really are concerned about that because you live and work in the same community. And that culture fit, that's front and center. And I think in many instances, those individuals that are open to having a conversation with us say, look, it's lacking where I am now. I'm open to what you have and how do they operate. I've got a couple of clients that I founded the firm in 1999, and I've had those clients previous to that date. And so it's a real pleasure to have known these, these individuals, these execs, these clients for 20, 25 years.
Relationships.
It
so
is.
Everybody, somebody at that level is going to have a whole toolbox full of benefits, work-life balance, things worked out. And if they're going to jump to another position, they don't want to lose any of that. They want to have those continue. So that's an extra challenge, but it's also a track to run on for you.
Well, it is as late as this morning, we finalized a deal with a gentleman that is a head of talent acquisition for a mid-sized corporation. He's very gainfully employed, likes what he's doing, but the opportunity for career advancement wasn't there. And frankly, the balance of work and life wasn't as good as he wanted. So he accepted the job this morning, only got a 10% increase. His base is in the 150 range. His bonus is another 25 to 30 grand. So it's upper mid-level in terms of what he has, but he perceives that this $100 million plus privately owned 1,000 employee, 8 location company, which is our client, is going to be another fun opportunity for him to go into the next chapter of his career. And that culture and that president CEO spending personal time in the midst of this really sealed the deal, really sealed the deal.
And with your counseling and guidance, because the CEO is your customer as much as the person. So what you're doing is hand-holding because you have the information and the experience that somebody like you're just describing has going to have all these needs, and you're already there. You don't have to wait to be told that this is going to be necessary. It's already like a toolbox that you offer.
Well, I think you got it. I think you're spot on. I was in a seminar yesterday where they were talking about how to treat your clients, how to treat your customer. And they said, when you're trying to get new customers, get to know, N-O, get to know early. And, I think about that in the same way with candidates. I want to get to know early because I don't want to have you use me and use my client just to get a raise, just to try to position you for a promotion. So I want to make sure you're serious about it and serious about it like I am. And so is this really something and why that you want to pursue and make a change? Because oftentimes it's painful. When you make that change, you're losing your tenure, your seniority. You're starting over in another company. You're getting on another cycle for performance bonuses or long-term incentives. It's not a simple thing to unhook from. But when a company has been acquired or a company has acquired another big firm and you got the players change and you got the rules change, it's that point that you go check things out. You check the market, which I think you ought to do routinely anyway. It reaffirms what you got, or in fact, it reaffirms that, goodness, I don't have it so good.
So you're a longtime executive member of this global thing called IRC, Executive Search. So do people in UK or in Germany or in Israel or Uganda, are they doing the same kinds of things you're doing?
We are. IRC Global Search Partners has had an official name change here in the last 2 months. We're now called Kestria. It's the largest alliance of search firms. We represent 40 countries and over 90 cities. I have a situation now that from my European partner in Sweden, we're going to start a president search for a medical device company in the US, and they want to expand their presence. And so the lady CEO of this Swedish company, she is unbelievable and wants to grow this market. And we're going to have the privilege of going and finding a new leader who is very adept at sales, very adept at hospital relationships, very adept at the big purchasing organizations. They want to have a 5x growth on that in the next 3 years. And so we'll go find that stud or studette that wants to run this business and grow it like crazy. So short answer, whether it's Europe, whether it's Asia, whether it's here, it's very similar. You're going to have different situations in some parts of Europe because of the safety aspects of it, with the Ukraine. But yes, fundamentally the same.
So, folks, you're looking at Gary Saenger, Saenger. You see that right there on the screen. Go check him out on LinkedIn, and I think you'll be very impressed. And thank you again for being on our Global TV Talk Show. Have a great trip, and I look forward to that salmon.
Edwin, thank you. I appreciate it. If you want halibut instead, just let me know. I'm taking signups. Appreciate it, Ed.
Okay,
really a pleasure. Always.
One each.
One each. One each. All right. Take care.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Bon voyage.
Bon voyage indeed.